Hello, everyone. It's Thursday, June the 2nd. Again, I ask for your prayers for some folks that we've lost. We've lost a total of 23. 13 of them are reconciliation deaths. 2 of them are amazingly young, and I'll get to that in just a second. But if you'll join me in prayer for the 6,949th death is a 73-year-old male from Berkeley County. The 6,950th death is a 78-year-old female from Harrison County. The 6,951st death is a 72-year-old male from Cabell County. The 6,952nd death is a 70-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 6,953rd death is a 79-year-old female from Wyoming County. The 6,954th death, a 64-year-old female from Wyoming County. The 6,955th death, a 95-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 6,956th death, a 74-year-old male from Mineral County. The 6,957th death, an 86-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 6,958th death, a 73-year-old female from Fayette County. The 6,959th death, a 74-year-old female from Wood County. The 6,960th death, a 60-year-old male from Mercer County. The 6,961st death, an 83-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 6,962nd death, an 82-year-old female from Clay County. The 6,963rd death, an 89-year-old female from Greenbrier County. The 6,964th death, a 77-year-old male from Greenbrier County. The 6,965th death, a 67-year-old male from Jefferson County. The 6,966th death, a 67-year-old female from Putnam County. The 6,967th death, an 81-year-old male from Ohio County. And get this, and all the people we've lost, it just rips my heart to pieces and everything, because I just know how these families are hurting, and I just hate it. But the 6,968th death is a 27-year-old female from Wayne County. The 6,969th death, a 72-year-old male from Monongahela County. The 6,970th death is a 100-year-old, God bless her in every way, female from Mineral County. But now get this, and I hate like crazy, this is really beyond sad. The 6,971st death is a reconciliation death. It's a 15-year-old female from Raleigh County. This death occurred in January of 2022, and since then it's been confirmed as a COVID death by the office of our chief medical examiner. It's the second minor to die from COVID in West Virginia. The previous individual was 17 years old, and now we've lost a 15-year-old. This stuff has been really tough, really, really, really tough. And we have a pathway to stopping it. You know, we're doing better about getting our vaccines, but we could do a whole lot better. And but nevertheless, it's just been tough. 2,117 active cases now in West Virginia. There's 696 new cases in the last 24 hours. Daily positivity rate's 8. The cumulative rate is 8.14. Recovered cases are 508,161. We're now up to 178 people that are hospitalized, 24 in the ICU units and 11 on ventilators. All of our counties are green and yellow. We'd surely want it to go back to all green, but we've all got to know that this thing has not left. It's probably not going to leave. We've got to find a way to live with it. The answer is the vaccines. Be respectful, though. I have said it over and over and over. I urge you every day about getting the vaccines. But at the same time, I am completely respectful to those whose their wishes are to go another way. And absolutely, we should always be respectful of others. and I am just that. Our free testing events that we've had and everything are winding down now. From the standpoint, we're going to continue to provide free testing at our health departments, our community health centers, at pharmacies. There's going to be plenty of places out there for you to get, free testing. But as far as, putting a guard out there right now, to be perfectly honest, what's happening is, they're there maybe all day and 2 people come by or whatever, and we're just spending money that really and truly we don't need to spend right now. If things happen to get worse, we'll be right back out there. But from the standpoint of free testing, you can get free testing kits, a home test from the government. Absolutely, you can go to your pharmacies or the community health centers or the health departments and get, your free testing at those places as well. We always want to mind the store as best we possibly can with all your resources. And Dr. Amjad, I think, is on. She's going to tell you a little bit more about that.
I'm sorry, going to right now? You want me to? Okay, I wasn't sure. So as the governor mentioned about testing, and we have gotten a lot of questions about it, we do want to reassure everyone that we will still have free testing available with our antigen home test kits. So those, we're dispersing them out to health departments, federally qualified health centers, and some other agencies. But we just want to make sure that everyone knows that we do have testing available still. And it's really just the ones that are out there, possibly, as the governor mentioned, sometimes we have guards set up or other entities sitting, and we don't have a lot of people showing up for those. But all the other locations will have antigen test kits that you can either take home, they can be mailed to you, you can pick them up. And these are just things that we want to make sure that people have access to test quickly, especially since a lot of people are testing themselves at home. Our testing map that's up, it's been, they're working on it earlier today just to update the locations. If the health departments and FQHCs were going to offer the antigen test at those locations. And a lot of those places you may need to call to see when you can go pick them up and take them home or have them done there. It would depend on the location, but testing is still very important, and we want to reassure everyone that we still have free testing available through different options, and we can take any questions later as needed. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Amjad. You've done an incredible job, and we're really, really proud of you and very, very thankful to have had you in every way. I remind you over and over about your booster shot. I can't fathom, I still can't get by it. How in the world could you have taken time to have gotten your vaccines and now sit on the sideline without your booster shot, thinking maybe just that you have some immunity from having the vaccines, and all the doctors tell you that really and truly by not having your vaccine, your booster shot, you're just freewheeling it just like you have never had a vaccine. So if your time is right to get your booster shot, get them, especially if you're over 50. Really important, really, really, really important. Numbers, continue as far as the distribution update. They continue to ink up slowly, but we wished it would come faster. But nevertheless, if you'll just think about this, in West Virginia, our population is, just under 1.8 million. We have 979,048 people that are fully vaccinated in the state of West Virginia, 1,132,441 that have received their first dose. We want to continue to try to get more and more folks across the finish line. We've got a lot of good stories. Just in a matter of days, we get, whether it be 1,000 or 7,000 or whatever it may be, but in relatively short periods of time, we get a lot of first-time, recipients of their vaccine. We're saving lives. We'll just keep at it. No question, it's frustrating, but we'll just keep at it. The vaccine calculator is up. It'll help you know when to get your shots if you'll just register and get, online and figure that and get through the detail. It's very, very simple. From the vaccine any information about COVID is all up on our website. We have 69 outbreaks now in long-term care facilities, none in our church community. That's really great work by our church community, our folks there. We have 67 inmates and 17 staff cases now in corrections. It's not many, but we got to watch it because, when numbers start popping up like this, all of a sudden they can accelerate very quickly. Our May revenue numbers were off the chart. I know, I sound almost like a broken record, but what a broken record it is. We've broken record after record after record, whether it be on unemployment, whether it be on revenue numbers. We've just set an all-time record where we've exceeded $5 billion of revenue into the state of West Virginia and did it in 11 months. We've still got another month. It is amazing beyond belief what's going on. We had another $113.8 million surplus in the month of May, and that puts us for the year in 11 months at a surplus above budget of $1,107 million. Now, it took decades upon decades upon decades to grow a rainy day fund to $1 billion. We're at $1,107 million in 11 months this year, in addition to having a rainy day fund at $1 billion. So West Virginia, we just want to keep on keeping on and doing it and absolutely making more and more good things come to our state. These are unbelievable numbers. Like I said, I promised you a rocket ship ride, and we're there, and we want to keep the ride going. So thank everybody so much, and let's just keep at it. The rental assistance program, the homeowner assistance program are available. There's dollars out there. You need to call us and see if you can get qualified, and we can put some dollars in your hands and make things better for you, make things better for the state of West Virginia. I always remind you about giving blood, especially if you've been blessed and you've gotten through this terrible pandemic and, from the standpoint you had COVID, you've gotten through it. Please check with your physician. If your physician says it's good to go, please give real consideration to giving blood. We put out a little update, last night in regard to this Lyme's disease diagnosis. Lyme's disease doesn't run rampant in West Virginia. I think there's other states, whether it be Michigan or Ohio, that it's more prevalent there. And although I had all the symptoms and everything, Shirley had the bite area and everything, and I, had a lot of Lyme's symptoms. I really wouldn't buy into it, to tell you the truth, but all my docs kept saying that's what it is, and lo and behold, all the blood tests came back, and sure enough, that's exactly what it's been, and it still continues. I don't still feel the greatest and everything, but I'm doing better every day, and from where this was, with the fevers and the headaches and everything else that goes with it, it's a heck of a lot better than it was. But nevertheless, I would just urge all of you. I just wouldn't have believed it that you could get a tick bite and it could turn into something that would be as nasty as this. But this is pretty nasty stuff. So check yourself. Especially if you've been out in the hayfield or you've been out in the woods or whatever like that. Check yourself and take heed, because this can be some nasty stuff. Yesterday, I appointed a new judge, Kelly Gilmore, and I think I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but I think it's Codispati. I think that's correct, but nevertheless, Kelly's been, serving in in Logan County for a long time. I'm appointing her to the 7th Judicial Circuit. She's the first female circuit judge now ever in Logan County. She's practiced law in West Virginia for 41 years. Absolutely, she's got her act together, and she's done so much good work as a family court judge and done so many different things, but Kelly will do great. and I've got a lot of confidence in her. I know her well, and she, I just wish her the very best. And, I love all the folks in Logan County and everything, especially close to southern West Virginia, but nevertheless, great folks, and I'm sure Kelly did a wonderful job. So congratulations, Kelly. Last night, I attended the Game Changer dinner and spoke at the dinner last night. Game Changers is trying to do any and everything that they can do to try to combat this drug epidemic and to go into our schools and try to make things and just educate and make things better for our kids. I say it over and over, but we had a phenomenal disaster, in Texas at Robb Elementary School. And I really think if we'll just step back and be fair. Last night, one of the things I said was, if you happen to be 60 or 70 years old, just ask yourself just really simply, just this, and that is, when you were growing up and in school, do you think things are better today for kids, or were they better then? Nobody in their right mind could say things are better today. Kids are so bombarded with everything under the sun. When I was growing up as a kid, you had your school clothes and your play clothes, and we were worried, maybe about where we were going to play ball, whether it be, baseball or basketball or football or whatever it may be in the afternoon. And then, if it happened to be a weekend night, we were all sitting around, thinking about, when is the kick the can game going to start in the alley or whatever? Lots and lots and lots of great experiences and fun. And now, today, just think of what our kids are going through. Just think of how they're bombarded with drugs on every street corner. Absolutely, at the age of 7 or 6, all the pornographic information that's everywhere. Whether it be music laced with all this terrible profanity, whether it be a violent video game, all the different things that our kids are having to deal with over and over, all the social media, the bullying and everything that can go on there. We didn't have that growing up. Our kids today face so many problems, it's off the chart. They can be hungry. It can be anything and everything. Absolutely, our kids need our help in every way. And I congratulate all the good work we're doing, whether it be Communities in Schools, or it be Jobs and Hope, or Jim's Dream, which it was, are now Game Changers, and on and on and on. But it's not enough. It's not enough. If we don't address an all-in approach to the problem today, we're going to continue to awaken to another and another Robb Elementary. It's terrible. It's terrible. But our kids really need us. It's the very reason that I coach. I've done it over and over and over. And I urge all politicians, all people from all walks of life, if you have time, and if you don't have time, make time. Make time to spend a little time with kids. It'll make you feel better. I said it last night, I mean it with all my heart. The giver is the one that always wins. If you'll take a little time to spend some time with kids, not only will make you feel better, but it would be so beneficial to our children. They need you. They need you so bad in every way. So congratulations to Game Changer, and we're just going to keep on trying to do any and everything we possibly can to try to make things better for our kids. There's 3 state agencies, the Alcohol Beverage Control Administration, the Division of Natural Resources, and the State Fire Marshal's Office that's teaming up together, and they're going to be making some announcements and everything for the kids in the summer to just watch out for a couple things, from the standpoint especially mixing alcohol with, the summer heat, all kinds of things can happen there. But, from the standpoint of watching, on the waters and everything, enjoy yourself, have a blast, have all the fun you can possibly have. But you got to be a little careful. We lost a couple of people we had 7 boating incidences, and 2 people we lost in West Virginia in 2021. And so we got to watch on the water. Just be careful, enjoy yourself, and have a blast in every way. But just take heed and be a little careful. We have an announcement on green power, and you know that's But I am announcing today, and I'm directing our Secretary of Economic Development, Mitch Carmichael, to work with the Green Power to develop a pilot project to familiarize school districts in our state with electric buses. This is designed to help school districts take advantage of federal dollars that are currently available for nearly 100% of the purchase of electric buses. And today we're joined by a special guest, and Mark Neslin is with us. And Mark, maybe you could tell us a little more.
Thank you, Governor, and Green Power thanks you for inviting us today to be part of this special announcement that you're making, and to also let the citizens of the state have a little update on our facility here in South Charleston. And we're excited to announce today that we will take possession of our manufacturing facility in South Charleston the 1st of August. And we will have buses rolling out of that facility, fully manufactured by September. And so it's been a time since we were first here in January. We thank you for the great work that you and your cabinet and your staff and the legislature and city officials have done in helping us get to the point to where we can actually move into that building now and start that production. You know, in January, when Green Power announced that we had reached a decision to come to West Virginia, we said that the relationships in West Virginia, the business-friendly attitude of West Virginia were part of the reasons and a major reason why we came here. And your work with us since that announcement in January and your cabinet's work with us has proven that that decision was right and that we made the right decision, because this is the business-friendly state that's going to allow us to move forward. And we look forward, as we start that manufacturing here, to help increase those great economic numbers that you were talking about just a little bit earlier today, and really help the state from that perspective in jobs and economic development. We're also extremely excited about your direction to Secretary Carmichael and Green Power to work together on this pilot project so that we can move these electric buses around the state and let school districts learn more about how they can use them, how they will work in their communities, and particularly at this time, the money that is available from the federal government. In the bipartisan infrastructure law, there was $5 billion set aside for the replacement of diesel school buses with all-electric zero-emission school buses. And they have now come out with the first piece of that for $500 million currently. And that's now open to our school districts here in West Virginia, to where they, in essence, can almost get those buses for free. The large school buses will have a $375,000 rebate from the federal government. The smaller school buses, $285,000. And then they get an additional $20,000 per bus after that to work on charging infrastructure. So your direction to us and the Secretary to get out there and show these school districts how this will work for them in combination with this money coming down from the federal government is really going to do the job of helping move those students, move them in a safe and fashion that gets them to school, helps them learn better, and will achieve more economic growth for the state through our production that we're going to be doing here in South Charleston. So again, Governor, just thank you for what you have done to make us welcome here, and we look forward to more announcements as we get closer to taking that possession in August.
Well, Mark, it's easy from my side. We appreciate you. We know you're going to bring hundreds of jobs to West Virginia. Great opportunity for all of us and everything. We welcome you with open arms, and we stand ready to try to help in every way. We thank Secretary Carmichael and all the great work that those folks have done, and Secretary Gaunch and everybody that's put in the licks to make this a reality. And so we're anxious to see those buses rolling off the assembly line. So be good stuff. The last thing I've got is just, I'd ask for everybody's prayers again for those super young people that we've lost. a 27-year-old and a 15-year-old in West Virginia. And we'll get on with the questions from the media, but we should celebrate the great numbers that we have going on in West Virginia, but we ought to keep our nose down and keep on working. A lot of work still to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Governor. We'll now hear from Dr. Clay Marsh, our coronavirus czar.
Well, good afternoon. And really to reinforce what the governor has said, we know that the COVID pandemic is still not over. The virus continues to gain the ability to infect people much more easily. We know that in West Virginia now, the dominant variant of COVID-19 is the BA.2.12.1 variant. And just to really quickly review, COVID has gone through a number of different changes related to its genetics. And as those changes give COVID an advantage in infecting people in the world, in the United States, and in West Virginia, we name that particular form of COVID so that we can distinguish it from previous forms. And the variant from India, we call the Delta variant. And quickly, the Delta variant was replaced by the newest variant, the one that we are seeing now in West Virginia, which is the Omicron variant. And in the Omicron variant, we had a very high number of infectious cases in the winter, very high hospitalizations. That's where we averaged 1 million cases of COVID, new cases of COVID a day for a period of time. And that was the BA.1 variant. The BA.2 variant, which was the strongest variant in West Virginia, is about 30% more infectious than the BA.1 variant. So the BA.2 variant is in the neighborhood of the measles as far as infectivity. The BA.2.12.1 variant, which is the newest variant and now the dominant variant in West Virginia, accounting for about 77% or so of the cases. Then the BA.2.12.1 variant is about 25% more infectious than the BA.2 variant. In the United States, we're also seeing a newer variant that's even more infectious than these two variants, which is the BA.4/5 variants that are the ones that really just started to, or just caused a number of issues and new cases in South Africa. So I say this not to try to make people experts in virology, but to help remind all of us that COVID continues to get more infectious and to get stronger. So it's really important that we continue to monitor our own risk. And we know that older Americans and older West Virginians, even though we saw 2 really young people, that's quite tragic, but older Americans and older West Virginians are really the ones that are being affected the most. And as the governor said, being up to date on the vaccines is important, because even with the Omicron variant, the Omicron 2 BA.2 variant, we see that being vaccinated reduces your risk of death even over 65 by about 96%. So being fully vaccinated and boosted, as would be appropriate up to date, is so important. A study from New York City, though, raised another issue. In New York City, because of the testing changes that we've all talked about, as the governor said, people aren't showing up to get testing done very much anymore, a lot of home tests and antigen tests. But New York City believes that we may be underestimating the number of new cases on a daily basis by as much as 30 times based on research that they did in New York City in the health department. And in that way, we may be seeing as many as 3 million new cases in the country, if that's correct. And whether that's absolutely accurate or not, it just tells us that COVID continues to infect our citizens. And we know that long COVID is a manifestation, but also the unvaccinated, particularly the unvaccinated elderly, are the ones who are the most high risk to have significant and severe consequences of COVID-19 and death. And the new variants are even better at infecting us than the previous variants are. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Marsh. Next, we'll hear from retired Major General Jim Hoyer, the director of our Joint Interagency Task Force.
Good afternoon. Just to reinforce again a couple of points, and this is specifically related to hospitals. We have hit 178 hospitalizations again. Want to let folks know that over a year ago, we were concerned about watching for the number of 800 in our hospitals based on capacity. At one point, we exceeded that to 1,100. Today, based on staffing issues and bed availability, our number that we now watch is 500. So we're continuing to watch the numbers. The numbers have been moving up slowly, but we are closely watching those based on staffing issues going forward. In addition to that, Paxlovid, which is the therapeutic available, while the federal government has announced that they will attempt to increase production, but we still have, while we are ordering the maximum number of doses in the state, we still have concerns that a significant surge will mean lack of availability. So back to the governor's key point that he continues to make, vaccines are exceptionally important. Vaccines are not only the preventive tool, but they are the therapeutic, as Dr. Marsh, Dr. Amjad would tell you. It reduces the severity of the disease for those who may still contract COVID. So we will continue to press that. If you look at over age 65, we are one of the best in the nation as far as those vaccine numbers, and we continue to push those up every day. Over 50, we are still in pretty good stead. But when we go 5 to 17-year-olds, we are not doing very well. So we encourage parents, particularly in light of what the governor announced today in that reconciliation number, that we encourage parents to go out and work with their trusted healthcare providers and give serious consideration to vaccinations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Amjad is also joining us. Secretary Crouch had a prior engagement today and will rejoin us next week. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Stephen Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Yeah, Steve Adams of Ogden Newspapers. More than $1 billion in surplus. That's obviously pretty good. We have a number of items in the surplus section of the budget, around $793 million. So when you subtract that, I mean, with a month out, we've got about 313 in surplus left. But every time I've written about this for the last particularly couple of months, as inflation has increased the cost of food, as gas prices have gone up, I'm seeing more people not that excited the state has the surplus because they're at home hurting, not able to afford food, not able to fill up their gas tank all the way. I mean, what would you say to some of those people that are kind of looking at the surplus and wanting to know how that comes back and helps them in the long run? Thank you.
Well, Stephen, first and foremost, I'm not going to rest on my laurels and just sit back and just say, well, you know, we got this surplus and everything. Yay, yay. But at the same time, you know, the complications that people are having, there's an awful lot that, you know, that really is so needless that it's unbelievable. But it happened with the just stroke of a lot of pens and everything, surely not West Virginians so much, you know, when we elected the administration that is in D.C. today. We elected an administration that went so off the chart, sideways or upside down, it's unbelievable. Now, we can say what we want, but if we want to just tell the truth, the reality is real simple. We continue to mind the store as the store should be minded in West Virginia, and we're doing that, and we'll continue to do that. Whether it be highways or education or whatever it may be, we're pushing the right buttons. Now, can we absolutely do better? Of course we can. There's no question we can do better. You know, and it's absolutely, we want to continue to set ourselves up in West Virginia to have job opportunity and have decades and decades and decades of prosperity. Now, with all of that, Sure, I get it. I get it. Nobody likes the fact that we're looking at $4 and $5 and $6 gas prices and prices in the grocery stores as to what they are and everything else. At the same time, a drug epidemic that continues to invade us. Why did all this happen? Why is it continuing to happen? Here we've got in West Virginia, this great state of West Virginia, we have saved us in America over and over with our coal and now with our gas. And all we do is stand back and have others kick us and kick us and kick us and say, we can do without fossil fuels today. Who are we kidding? Who in the world are we kidding? You know, so that nevertheless, when it really boils right down to it, you never get me to admit that absolutely that things in West Virginia, we can always get better. But gracious sakes of living, if we're not pleased with where we are today versus where we've been, I don't know how to get us pleased. I mean, our roads are better, job opportunities better. We do have solid surpluses in the state of West Virginia that give us the opportunity to do so much more. We're absolutely doing better in education. We want to continue on and on and on, but it is off the chart what's going on in West Virginia. But we can make it better, and we're going to keep digging and try to make it better each and every day.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Next, we'll hear from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. My question builds off Stephen's just a little bit. Governor, I know you were asked this a couple of months ago in regard to suspending the gasoline tax, but with the price of gas continuing to increase, have you given any more consideration to any sort of measure that would help West Virginians at the pump? Thank you.
Charles, I've said I am open all the time. There's been 4 states in the country that have done just this. 4. I am as wide open could be. If there's a legislative appetite for this and everything, bring it to me. From my standpoint, Charles, how I feel about it is just as simple as this. There are so many obligations that those dollars are going towards that make our roads better, that give us more and more and more opportunities and everything. If we don't watch out, we'll spin around 15 times and be right back in the same boat we were in with all kinds of roads in such a disrepair, it's unbelievable, where people can't even make it to the convenience stores. Absolutely. So Charles, at the end of the day, if our legislature has an appetite, I stand absolutely open-minded to looking at any kind of thing that can help our folks in the state of West Virginia from the standpoint of easing pressures as far as gasoline tax. But with all of that, Charles, at the end of the day, is that really going to help us? Or is it going to just be a Band-Aid for cancer for a month, 45 days? If we want something that'll help us, every single West Virginian knows that we have got to have a nation that is energy independent, and there's no reason on the planet for that not to be that way today. All we've got to do is declare tonight that our nation is going to become energy independent. The very second we do that, these gasoline prices will start down. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. For those of you that believe that this is purely just supply and demand, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. We are being held hostage to some degree, but without any question, there are lots of people that are profiting, and they're profiting in a big way. Without any question whatsoever, we need a declaration in this country that says we're going to be energy independent. From the standpoint of our worldwide security, it is so important, it's off the chart. But from the standpoint of these high gas prices and on and on and on, we can do something about it, Charles. But from the standpoint of West Virginia, giving us a tax holiday for a month, we're going to spin around a month, and then what are we going to do? Then really and truly, we're going to go for another month, and then all of a sudden we're going to be taking dollars away from repairing and fixing and maintaining our roads, and we're going to be right back in the mess that we've been in the past. So from the standpoint of appetite, I don't hear appetite coming from the legislature. I don't hear any appetite hardly coming from the legislature. I see some grandstanding over on the dim side, but I don't hear real appetite. So with all that being said, 4 states have done this. You know, in all honesty, there's not much popularity out there either.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next to Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good afternoon, Governor, and everyone else. Governor, I am hearing appetite. Interesting thing happened today. I had not only a Democrat in the studio for an interview, but a Republican as well. When this discussion about cutting the gas tax or suspending it started, gas was about $3.90 a gallon. Now it's about $4.60. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing from Republicans in the legislature, as well as Democrats, saying we need to suspend the gas tax. They're not talking about this being a long-term deal, maybe just a couple of months to ease the prices and then go on to maybe your strategy of a long-term economic independence for this country. They're talking more of a short-term deal. But they're of the mind that you have to call them into session. They just can't, send some bills down your way, that you'd actually have to call them into session to do anything on this. Your thoughts?
Mark, I don't want to misquote here, but we get all sorts of written requests nonstop. From time to time, they're welcome to write requests to me, over and over. And I think, with the exception of maybe Senator Baldwin, I don't know of other requests that we've received here, but nevertheless, I'll look into it again. I've said over and over, I've said it before, if this is not just a fruitless mission and there is real desire from the legislature side, I stand absolutely open and would be supportive. But I can tell you that I just don't, you may have heard it from a few folks and everything, but Mark, I'm not hearing it from the legislatures.
All right, thank you, Mark. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, like I said, I try to make myself notes as we go and listen to the experts that are speaking all the time. One thing that Dr. Marsh said, he said that in a recent, study that was done in New York, that because of all the home test kits that are out there, that it is believed and suggested that there could be as much as 30 times the unreported, confirmations of COVID infection. And if that be the case, there could be, the numbers would be staggering as to how many people are becoming infected with COVID. I don't know more than just what I just heard from Dr. Marsh, but here's what I would tell you, and it's just this. Not being an alarmist at all, we first and foremost have got to live with this, don't we? We don't want to go back to this crazy mask, and we don't want to absolutely ever think about having to close something again. Our kids, first and foremost, need to be in school. We all know that. But with all of this, I would just say just this to you. From the standpoint of hospitalization, from the standpoint of deaths, the numbers look great. The numbers are better. From the standpoint of infection, the numbers continue to rise. From the standpoint of this thing mutating to different variants, it does. From the standpoint of it going away, it's not going to go away, in my opinion. From the standpoint of what the answer is, it's really simple. It's just as simple as I say, as simple as mud all the time. And that's just this. You got to get vaccinated. You got to get your booster shot. And then you got to live with it. You go have life and enjoy in every way. Absolutely, with all in me, that will stop this cold in its tracks. That will stop me reading name after name after name, cold, just dead in its tracks. So with all of that, please consider. And the other thing I would say is please keep all those in your prayers that we've lost. But when it comes to a 15-year-old that we've lost, it's terrible. It's just terrible beyond belief. And from the standpoint of West Virginia and how West Virginia is doing, we want to continue on the track of prosperity. And like I said before, things can really change. The one thing that can absolutely positively, cause this thing to turn, and I think turn on a dime, is if we don't watch out and we get in our own way, things are moving in a really, really positive direction. I'm very, very proud of all the work that's been done. And from the day, I'll promise you this, and this is not tooting my horn, but from the day that I walked in this door and this state was as flat bankrupt as bankrupt could be, a rainy day fund drained to record low numbers, bonds being derated, nowhere to turn other than just make additional cut after cut after cut after cut. Our roads so bad that you couldn't even get to that convenience store without tearing your vehicle all to pieces. And nobody wanted to come to visit West Virginia from the standpoint of tourism. Things have really changed. And there's a lot of people that have made that lick happen. And I couldn't be more proud of them and more proud of West Virginia. And we want to just keep it going. Still got a lot of work to do. We're going to keep doing the good work. Thank y'all so much.